and it will be starting out soon.
Work for Unity. I have taken charge as a country manager for India. We do have three of our guests, Parth from Centronoid. Kindly join us on stage for the fireside chat. Mr. Jaidev from Whistling Woods, and our beloved friend Rupesh from Route 16. Kindly join on stage. So it's a very, very, very lovely to have a full audience here, and Amachi, Mumbai. I love it because I did my schooling in Mumbai. I love this part of the world so well with the smell of the rain when I see the first monsoons. I remember my childhood. And today we are with our distinguished panel members here who are there to cover real-time rendering, its impacts in film, animation, and beyond. And that beyond is where we will try to get our context set. And as the context goes, we would like to quickly show a sizzle reel of what all has happened in the journey of Unity being used for film and animation. And then we'll take leading questions with the panelists, and then we can open for questions for the floor. Can I get the first sizzle reel playing, please? As the team gets to set the context of the tone, one of the most interesting thing of this particular topic is Mumbai is the Bollywood hub, and this gives you a much more opening up of where we could go from where the world is going in terms of real-time for films. Awesome. So what you have seen is most of the quick interpretation of how Unity is used for rendering 2D in real time to do production like Saunders and to do cinematic experience using Mr. Cotton. So taking on to the eminent panelist here, Parth, how would you look at virtual production for film taking shape, and how do you think it impacts from where you come from? With a short introduction of your background would help a lot for the audience to connect for this version.
So, okay. So I'm from a company called Centroid Motion Capture, and one of our services apart from motion capture is also virtual production. What we do, so how many of you are familiar with virtual production? I assume not many. So virtual production is basically doing a live action shoot with your CG actors. So you're directing your CG actors, everything is synthetic. So your camera is synthetic, everything is synthetic in this thing. And that's also, if you're in this floor, if I'm holding my camera, virtual camera, and someone is in the motion capture suit, I can probably see in my viewport, I can see him as a Hulk because I have set him as a Hulk. And this helps for the, like a virtual production for any of the movies where you're mixing CG with live action, or it's entirely CG. So that's how the virtual production is useful for. Virtual production basically helps a lot for directors. It's where you can save a lot of cost in production because you can get things done in pre-production itself. Like previs, which later someone would be speaking about, previs, post-vis, tech-vis. There's also virtual production in VR, which many of the directors have been using it in the recent movies now. So, so real-time motion capture, that's real-time animation, looking at your CG character and real-time animating, that's been there from quite a few years. But with game engine like Unity, you get more potential, because of the the graphics which you get. You can actually see your final result on screen in real time. That's the power which like the virtual production has gone up to. I would like to also maybe play a video to make them familiar with what motion capture is if someone is not familiar with. And while the video is playing, I'll also point out what things are there in that particular video. So can we have a second video, please? animation which you're looking at, the body and facial, some of them are real time, which you look on the screen. The horses were offline because we had to shot them separately. But yeah, many of them in this videos are real-time animation which goes during the shoot. I mean, obviously we do the polish afterwards on top of that. But during the mocap shoot with real-time previs and real-time playback, it helps a lot for the director because they can, instead of looking at a blank, green chroma screen, they can look at the actual product out there on the stage. Many of them are also games which we have worked on. So yeah, it helps a lot also in the gaming side. So yeah, it's a mixture of game. This video is a mixture of game, animation, films and series. So imagine now you are a director and if you wanted to shoot the final Beauty and the Beast sequence, you have to maybe probably imagine someone in the motion capture suit along with Emma Watson over there, and she's probably dancing around with him. And it's hard for you to visualize what's happening out there. With virtual production, you can actually see the beast in your viewport. So this helps also with the framing of yours. So you can understand what framing should you keep in your stage that will cover the entire shot of yours. So yeah, I mean, it's quite useful tool, because it helps down in a lot of production cost later on. So I would say, yeah, that's the point.
Fantastic. Just to give a bit of perspective, how many of the audience have heard or saw the video clip of Digital Monarch Media, which does real-time virtual production by raise of hands? Wow, okay. Then let's take 2 minutes to connect the dots so that the panelists on the stage had got an exclusive preview for what we called as virtual production, where you can pretty much load your asset in real time, and it's a motion capture, it's a motion control rig with an Xbox controller with something what we call as an exposure software running, and you can pretty much put your iPhone or any of your gadgets onto the device, and you can give the power of cinematography into the hands of the director, and you can really navigate and block your scene, do your production planning, give it as a reference for your motion capture. It can optimize your match moving, the sequence, what to plan, and it becomes like a foundation document, much better than what you have as a storyboard, complement storyboard effort, complement your call sheet. So with whatever you have and you seeing the exposure, the DMM tool, how would you reflect upon the way how filming is going on?
Right. So currently what we are using tool for Unity, to stream mocap into Unity is via DMM tool. And for that, thank you to Ramesh and, Unity India team and DMM for letting us access that thing. It's quite useful because right now what's happening is that you have your motion builder out which is streaming the mocap data. That's letting you stream the mocap data into Unity in real time. There's someone else on the other desk who may be an editor. There's someone else on the other desk who is a lighting artist. Everyone is working on one single scene. So if the director is in the VR headset and that VR has been controlled from the other side, basically everyone is working the same thing. If the director says change the light, the lighting artist who's sitting on a Unity machine out there, he'll quickly change your light in the real time. There's another good feature of DMM tool is that, say if you're working in a scene and you're missing one of the asset out there, and your asset artist is sitting somewhere else in the other part of the country, he can directly upload it on the cloud, and you can access it within the Unreal in real time, download that thing, and place the asset where you need it to be. So I would say it's very, very useful on the film side because the director now, because he's very much familiar with what goes on floor.
Fantastic.
And now, with this, it makes him feel more comfortable. It lets him have him on the floor only, and he can probably, take the calls that way.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
and the same thing when you see from one of the eminent education institutes as an educator, how is it disrupting? What is your initial reaction once you got exposed to it?
Hello.
Yeah.
So right now, what's happening is the students are looking at it in a very different way. You know, the idea of making a film within a game engine, initially, I had like a little, but why? Getting them on and asking them to like, experiment. Look at the benefits of all the extensibility that you have, the traditional pipeline of post rendering. The most obvious answer is you save time, you save rendering time, you know. A frame that takes 10 minutes to render in the old pipeline is probably done in like a fraction of a second over here. So that. But apart from that, the way game engines work, they were always made to be extensible. They were always made to be extended. So you're never limited, And it's that idea which really makes it easy. And that's the idea that we, constantly keep. And with each project, the students are like, okay, fine. So, okay, I can do this. I can probably add this bit, alag se. So they end up developing their own environment for whatever film they want to make, as and how they see fit.
It did disruption into the way how you're teaching, like last 3 years of filmmaking, and once this real-time filmmaking has come?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's slightly painful, but worth it.
It's a pleasant surprise for the way the curriculum is designed and the way real-time rendering and real-time pre-visualization is changing it.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, it is. It's a bit of both. It's a first impact. So, but yes, I of course. It's playful. It doesn't feel like work. Yep. At least not to me. I mean, students still think of it as work. But yeah, it's a game engine, So yes. you have a lot of, it's a director's tool now.
Yes.
It used to be a technical tool, now it's a director's tool. Yes. So that's how it should have been.
Fantastic. So when we were looking at this, from giving unity to the power of creators into more people's hand, you as Unity game developers, gaming is your forte, but a game engine is as much as powerful that it could do anything. And one of the classical example, which is close to gaming, is film. And in film, the multiple aspects of it, which was obvious to use real-time rendering. But here we are going one step ahead and doing in the pre-visualization aspect of it. And then we are now calling a new category of virtual production. And I would like to take Rupesh input on how is it impacting your pipeline. So you did a pipeline 8 months back when you were talking about HDRP in the morning, but suddenly now we are saying, fine, that's rendering, but when you look at virtual cinematography, virtual production, you are now reinventing the pipeline, or what is your reflection? What is your instant reaction to this?
Hello. So when we started with the production of Jelly Bobos, we had a traditional set of artists who came from the traditional pipeline, where animatics need to be done on 2D. And it was very difficult to convince them that this can be done in 3D also. The obvious benefit is, let's say if I'm doing a pre-production in 2D, if I need to change the camera angle as per the creative requirements, then I have to go back to drawings. But with 3D pre-production, which Unity enables you to do, you can change literally the physical camera itself and get the different view of the scene, and then blit out the images. So I mean, it helped us tremendously while doing the Jelly Bobos. And I mean, it's a revolution, and we are pretty much convinced that why Unity should be used for that.
Fantastic. So when I look at the way traditional filmmaking used to happen, like 20 years back when I started my first job as a modeler animator, I worked for films back in Hollywood. I went as a motion capture artist to Raleigh Studio in the US. And we used to take tape and measure the match movings between day 1 shooting to day 2. And we go back to the set. We were asked to come 2 hours before the regular call sheet comes. And we used to lay out the prop sets with the tape, with the match moving thing. And suddenly when I look at this today, the whole job of what we call match moving is being wiped off, especially for the motion capture related stuff. And this is where when we see from the film world, it's quite obvious that we are doing disruption. How do you think the virtual cinematography would make an impact for gamers or game development studios from a centered point of view?
So, first of all, what we do in virtual camera is mainly is used for is not for the steady cam, because that can be done in 3D. You can place a camera which is steady. But say for example now if you want to have a handheld feel in your camera, you can probably go via script and get your handheld camera feel, or you can have the director on set itself hold the camera and then walk around with the character. So that's when you're getting a natural motion out there. You can also change your camera length. So there are many more tools within that thing, features like you can change your camera lens and everything. You can place your camera viewpoints. Also, once your animation is completely done, you can revisit that scene, change the camera. That way it's helping you, get more, I would say, more cinematic feel to your game also when you're having in-game cinematics. Also on the gaming side, that recently, when we were shooting for a few of the games, we had 3 characters, say for example, now if you're having 3 characters in a whom you want to animate, right? And so what we had was real-time previews, where 3 characters were interacting with each other. There is a prop and everything. Now we are looking your actual game in real time out there in front of you. So that's helping quite a lot, because that's basically what I'm talking about is a virtual production. So that's helping this game developers, animation directors and everyone get the best performance out there on the stage itself. So your animation is quite good. Because one of the benefit with motion capture is you can save a lot of time on animation pipelines and you can focus more on the performance and other aspects of your game. So that's one of the main key benefit of motion capture. But yeah, looking at your final product in real time is helping a lot of gaming studios because mainly 70% of our clients are games. Rest 30% I would say would be films and series in that space. And because games is the one industry which uses motion capture to the most extensive stage, I would say, because you have thousands of animations to done, and with mocap you can just quickly get it done, very quickly.
Just to give a perspective, Centroid is a studio present in North America, in the UK, and you're fortunate to have them in Mumbai. And by way of introduction, I just want to see, as by raise of hands, I asked about DMM tools, and I only had few hands up there. I would request the video of DMM to give a context, and then we will see if you can facilitate for any of the developers who's interested to do a similar workshop or something there. Can I get the video of the DMM play on, and then we'll expand on the same question to the team. So what you are seeing here is actually the power of one of the recent acquisition which we did with Digital Monarch Media. And this is something which gives the power of what you're seeing is as close to the final one. So the overall theme is where the real-time rendering with real-time control to do pre-visualization has put the whole rig in a very different level. And at Centroid, we were fortunate to have the demo, and there is a full-blown motion capture studio in Bombay, and it's open to all developers. And at any point of time, you can get connected with Parth, and he'll be more than happy to give you whatever extension it's possible. In the same level, from an education institution, how would you look at from a gaming perspective? Yes, Whistling is one of the famous film school here in Bombay. And how are you looking at gaming as a course or gamers or game developers coming from there?
So I think this really worked out. The timing of this really worked out well for me, right? Because I joined Whistling Woods like a couple of years back. And when I started, I was like a gamer, put smack dab in the middle of a whole bunch of filmmakers. And I'm like, okay. And then this happened, and I'm like, now we're talking. Now we got something which is, connecting us, and it just works out. So we actually had the Digital Monarch guys come to college, right? Mm-hmm. And they, and I think Arvind organized that. So we had that demo, and it was nice to see, the gaming guys and the cinemat department kids and all of them, working together on this. And that is where I see like a, nice, this is where movies and games kind of collide, because the cinemat students find it a little difficult to wrap their heads around this aspect right now as to, okay, what's the big deal about me controlling something over here and, it moving a virtual camera? They don't realize the, the difficulties in the process for the animators, for the technicians, if it was done in the post pipeline. If all of this is happening runtime where people can work together on the same project, what could have been done, like say over 10 days or something, happens in one. Instead of every department working by themselves. So a lot of concepts and principles that are used for game development and game design can now be used for making this production pipeline better. So like the very act of coming up with what kind of controls you want to use for this motion capture rig, is as good as designing controls for a game.
Fantastic.
Which is what a lot of our students end up doing, So they also get to apply their design skills beyond games.
Awesome.
Which, opens up new avenues for them.
Great. And looking at the time, the clock is ticking and we have 1 more minute so that we can go for the question and answer session. How would you expand this on what you're doing for pipeline for the movies? Are you seeing an impact on helping anyone with similar approach for gaming? And how would you look at it, Rupesh?
So basically for any studio, small or big, there are two important factors when it comes to CG production: cost and time, right? With Unity, we know for sure now that your time goes down, basically because number of iterations are as good as zero render cost. So time equals money, money equals that sort of relation. And I mean, these two factors are beautifully taken care once you go to the real-time pipeline, because anytime you have to make any changes in your current show or the way it has been lit or way it has been shot, you can literally change that at runtime. And then, I mean, that is how. So where we come into picture is we are quite open to, visiting faculty, being a visiting faculty.
Fantastic,
and,
that's nice.
And also assisting studios who are willing to change their current pipeline to Unity-based pipeline. We can assist them with our expertise and our experience to make that shift happen.
Fantastic. So as we are on time to go for the questions, what I saw on the stage is a classical way where experts would willing to give a guest lecture there and Parth willing to facilitate you to come and get your hands dirty. When I was there out for the morning breakfast, tea, coffee, we have guests coming from, though it's Mumbai, but I have saw 5, 6 people who came from different parts of the country, and we do have guests from Bangladesh, from the ITC ministry here. And the key thing is we want to enable active networking. When I say active networking, we do have folks coming all the way from Mysore, where they do holosuit, which is something which is kind of an interesting way how they do API exposure into the Unity. It's very hard for me to do everyone name by name about their contribution to the ecosystem. But if you have a message that you want to put in a bottle and leave it, please feel free to take that piece of paper and write what you're looking forward from the developer day. We do have a lunch break and we do have a tea break. And if possible, what I can do is during the break, put that messages out there on a slide, whoever can give me those messages. So what happens is, today, by sheer panel discussion before stepping in here, there's a lot of valuable information exchange which happened between these three gentlemen when I was talking to them for 10 minutes. And then when I could correlate to my 6-7 conversation which happened on the floor, I would be more than happy to be that facilitator. And we are more than interesting to say that anyone who is touching Unity today, you are at the pinnacle of diversity. When I use the word diversity, gaming is, yes, big. We can make gaming super big. But at the same point of time, when people come and ask you for mentoring, beyond gaming is as big as it could go. And soon you will see a wide diversity of people coming from architecture, engineering, visualization, film, and much more wide enterprise application. So it's a much more welcoming session in that particular format, and we can take 2 or 3 questions from the floor to any of the panelists, and then we can call it off. Any specific questions from the audience?
Hi. I have a question related mocap system. Like if I want to invest some money for the mocap hardware system, does it require any space or calibrated area?
Yeah, there are 2 types of mocap system. One is the optical and the other one is inertial. So optical requires a space, the one which we have a setup in famous studios in Mahalakshmi over here, Mumbai, which is surrounded by a camera, for which you require space. There's another type of motion capture system which is called inertial, which is basically a suit. You buy a suit and you don't require space. Even if you have a smaller room, you can probably wear a suit and stream data real time into your software. So there are many other solutions in inertial, I would say inertial also. The cheapest, I believe, is a suit called Perception Neuron, which is very cheap to buy. I mean, not good at the quality, but still, you can start with something, develop something, and then, once you get used to, then you can invest more, because others are a bit expensive, I would say. So yeah, Perception Neuron is something good to start with. Yeah, I would say to try with that first.
And you even offered services for work for hire. Yeah. I don't think everyone need to invest on it.
I would say.
There are studios you could go and take time and material and get whatever portion of your production need to be done with studios. Yes. Like.
So we have a studio also in Mumbai. So if you and all what you can do also, you can come to the studio. We can help you set the pipeline first. And you can see how to use the motion capture first. We are very much so that's what it is. We are paid to service over here, and that's I would say bread and butter. I would say that way. So you can definitely visit our studio. We'll help you with the entire pipeline. See if that's what you're flexible with, and then you can definitely take your call further.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any more question by raise of hand so that the mic can reach you? It could be any question related to education, pipeline, production, motion capture, or it could be anything else as well. Cool. Once, twice, thrice. Thank you very much for, yeah, sure. You have something to add?
Because most of the people are developers and programmers over here, I would like to add one important point. When you explore other domains as well, as a developer, it helps you grow better. So when you say, I'm a game programmer, same technologies, same terminologies get even used in CG movies as well. I have been a graphics programmer myself. So it doesn't really matter in terms of which domain you are going for, because there could be an expectation where people are coming from more of a gaming mindset. But then even on CG animation side, if you look at technically, things are the same. So I mean, I would advise people to be more open-minded while exploring the domains. That's about it.
Sure, sure.
So it's, I'll agree to that because when I'm talking about, Unity in virtual production, film side, it's not the, I would say, filmmakers who are using this software. It's the programmers itself, developers itself, who are sitting behind the decks and who are, they are taking care of the technical side and the director is taking care of the creative side. So yeah, there are these developers itself who are controlling all the Unity side of things, yeah.
Fantastic. And one more other important aspect I would like to share is today this session was supposed to be moderated by Arvind, and he has a bit of a throat thing. He's available here. And he's our head of technology. And when I look at Arvind, the kind of a diversity what we are getting, we are going to do a few more developer days in India before the Unite, which is happening on the 14th and 15th of November at Cochin. The second developer day, what we are conducting or we are going to plan to do in the next 2 to 3 months, would be focused on non-gaming. When I use the word non-gaming, it has the diversity of industrial application, Unity for multiple other aspects of it. And here, this developer day, we want to stay loyal to game developers, and Bombay being that mini Bollywood, we wanted to have a fireside chat so that it gives you that curation of interest for any one of you to see what could come in the near future. You being a Unity developer, Unity programmer, Unity artist, you can proactively see the pipeline which is transforming the way how we are attempting for film, automotive, transportation, and obviously we'll see use cases in broadcasting as well. With this, I take the opportunity to thank every one of the panel members.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Hello. With this, we are on slightly 5 minutes late for it's going to be lunch, 12:45. I think we are not bad, 47. And let's join for lunch. And kindly, whoever want to give that message the way I asked, give it to me anytime before 2 p.m., 3 p.m. And I will get your messages out during the tea break so that people can be much more active to connect. Okay? Kindly join us for lunch, and we'll take this post-lunch started with an exciting UI, UX using Unity.